because sometimes that's the best thing to do. I would just like to welcome you guys to this week's episode of Real Talk. I'm joined this week by the amazing Caroline Kelly.
Hi.
We were just quite literally talking about how to introduce this lady. Caroline is, by all accounts, as you see her on social media, a wayshower, a healer, a teacher, a mentor, and yet she's not, which is what we're just discussing here a couple of minutes ago. And that's how much we're changing from moment to moment, day to day, week to week, because we had a beautiful conversation last week and we jumped on the call here ready to hit record. And this isn't the same lady I spoke to a week ago. She's just told me I'm not the same lady she spoke to a week ago. And we would love to just start by the conversation by talking to that topic. What is happening? Why are we changing as fast as we are, in your opinion?
Well, it's the awareness is there of, I'm having huge unlockings lately of awareness, awakening within me. And then, obviously I feel like I'm in my little bubble. I'm in between worlds. I don't know what day it is, what time it is, most of the time.
Yeah.
And being in the now, which is really important. But at the same time, it's sort of functioning in the world that we're living in practically. Yeah. I've still got my kids, and it's sort of, showing the way, being the best example, but at the same time working on a website. And I don't know, I'm sort of as to describe who I am and what I'm doing in the world, but I'm literally just being me. And I can do hypnotherapy, I can do healing and energy work and hold space with people, and people feel naturally calm and relaxed in my energy, which is what I feel. But how do you put that on a website to try and explain to somebody what you do?
I know how you feel.
And these whole shifts are it's like having the awareness of it all, but how do we bring that back down to grassroots as to be in the world? When you've got so much awareness, but then it's almost like you don't know anything at the same time.
So what I'd love to ask you is I'm winging it. It's my mantra for life. I'm winging it, lads.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? What does it look like to be in between two worlds? How would you describe it?
I can see. I feel. I'm an empath, and I'm an empath.
It feels a bit like this, doesn't it? Trying to actually function, trying to get words out of your mouth. Your mind is gone this way, this way, this way. You're trying to function as a human. This is just man hijacking the question. But to you, in your world, as an empath, what does it feel like to be between two worlds? Because you're very, very starkly aware. I'm not here and I'm not here. I'm not who I was yesterday. I'm not who I was 5 minutes ago. And as for 20 years ago, no. So what does it feel like in the now moment? Or would it feel like having one foot in between two worlds?
I even feel like my vision is fuzzy. It's like my body's here, I'm here, but there's part of me that's here, and there's part of me that's really aware and feeling the energy of the collective, and then my own shit that comes up, and so it doesn't really matter at this point. I feel whose is whose, because it's all of ours. So whereas you'll see something or feel something come up that might be nothing to do with you, but at the same time it is. That's what I feel like. It's still showing me something. It's still something that I'm moving and integrating, or allowing myself to feel, which is what we talked about last week, is this importance of allow, because we've got that awareness of the ascension and of the transition and the shifts. It's allowing ourselves to be the way showers in that, okay, this is what's happening for me. It feels shit right now in the moment, or it might feel fuzzy, or it might feel like you don't know what you're doing and all of that, but let yourself be that. Let yourself be in that and experience that to its fullest, even if it means shutting down, shutting away, shutting off. Whatever way it looks like is fine.
Yeah.
And allowing that, whereas and in that point then, even though you're still feeling between worlds and it feels a little bit odd, that brings you back to your heart, doesn't it? It brings you back to you, your now moment and your experience, which allows us then to transmute it all and integrate it all. Because I found more and more that, and it's happening quickly, everything's happening quickly, isn't it? It's like lightning speed. Whereas before I'd be a bit victim and like, oh God, you know, this has happened, or you know, what do I do about this? How do I fix this? How do I show up? What do I say that I do? Now I'm like, right, okay, what do I feel like I need to do right now? Right now, and be in it. And in allowing myself to be in it, it moves quicker.
Yeah. Feel your way through.
Yeah.
Whatever the present moment throws up.
Yeah.
You know what I found is, as I experienced what you've been describing, I wrote a little bit about it in December, and it's come up in a couple of conversations with people over the week, is how do I say this? If I find myself in that space in between where I'm not so sure of anything in my world, it can remind me very quickly of an old time or a past incident that sends off warning shots, alarm bells, you name it, around in my head. My mind kicks in, the asshole that it is. But it kicks in and it goes, oh my God, Melissa, you're going under again. Anxiety is going to kick your ass right now, or you're not going to be able to do anything for, you know, whatever it might look like. The mind kicks in. This is just my own experience. It kicks in. It tells me, oh, here we are again. Here we are again. And then it joins, it gets some team members who come on in behind it and then try to tell me how shit I am and how much of a failure I am in life and how unaccomplished I am, and brings up the laundry pile that's, you know, never ending in our home, or the fact that I need to get out and get food shopping, or whatever it might look like. Very, very basic, very everyday human things, right? And it kicks my ass if I can't catch it, acknowledge it, let it just work its way through me, out the far side, compassionately goes it. But it has the capacity to really kick my ass, which leads me back to what I was about to say to you a couple of minutes ago. With the different healing modalities that you have experienced, that you teach, that you share with people, do you ever find yourself even second guessing their how do you say, their role in your now moment when nothing makes sense? Or would you find that there are elements of them that you would default back to that would help aid or support or assist whatever it is that's going on with you?
Yeah, I find that there's a direct correlation between the people that you attract at the time and what you've got going on in your own life. So either it does take you back to a time, personal experience takes me back to a time where I can draw on the experience of that, or it brings something, I recognize something in them as why they've come to me. Even in when we do Ho'oponopono and EFT, the tapping and stuff, which is really good for grounding and everything, that it's quite often drawing on experiences or seeing them in a position of, oh my gosh, I've been you. I am
Yeah.
I am you.
Yes.
I wrote a post yesterday actually with a little poem about that, of the spark in me. The spark you see in me is you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we grow with, that's, and vice versa. So it's that whole mirroring thing of, and I don't like labels anymore. Of this has been sort of the progression of doing the website and stuff. Do I do it in first person or third person? Do I do it in,
Yeah.
it's me. I'm creating this stuff myself, as with the therapies. But who am I?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not all my experiences. I'm not the traumas and the baggage. And when we spoke the other day about, the backpack and all of those,
The things we carry.
yeah, the
Yeah, you
things
used a brilliant analogy of just to share with what Caroline's speaking to. She used the analogy of having the equivalent of a backpack that we carry, and how we repeatedly place like rocks, boulders into this, our traumas being the big ones, pebbles being the culmination of the small ones, but that we're constantly carrying. And most of the time, we don't even realize that we're carrying this stuff. We forget that we have the choice to actually take this shit off our back, and we don't do it. We forget that we have that choice. So sorry, you were going to say there about the things then that you experience as a result.
Yeah, and this is another thing. There feels like there's so much to say, but
Yeah.
I find like that's the between worlds things. I'm like, oh yeah, and there's that, and there's that, and there's that. So bringing it all back in and focusing on the moment, it can be the most challenging thing to do sometimes when you're aware of so much and everything's happening so fast. But yeah, definitely the people that I met with, and for the most part, that's at the moment, that's not one-on-one with, well, because of circumstances, it's not one-on-one in my home or whatever, so they're not directly in my energy or anything like that. But the awareness of the things that people are experiencing, I think that's probably where the those of us that are way showers and have been through all of those things, those traumas, it's coming. We're at a place now where, oh, okay, yeah, I know that, I know you, I feel you, because I've been there. And it might not be the exact same experience, but it's the exact same energy that they're in. And the collective energy at the moment is one of fear and panic and, worthlessness. I'm not good enough, worlds crumpling around them. That's really prevalent, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so as the way show, it's just being that voice of calm. I feel like that I didn't have quite often, of it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. There are things that you can do to help yourself through. The greatest gift you can give yourself is to allow yourself to feel it, but there's a resistance that's there.
Yeah.
And with everything that's happening in our outer world right now, what's the truth? What's the truth? And it's guiding people back to their own truth. What's your truth?
Beautiful.
What do you feel? What's true for you? And when I meet with somebody or is in that energy, or I'm aware of people in that energy right now, it's what's my truth in that as well. When you're faced with someone, what's that? What's the spark I see in you? What's the fear? What's the trauma I'm recognizing in you? Because it's part of me.
Yeah, an extension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask, what do you think is people's resistance to feeling? What stops people from going there the second the feels hit? Because we're very aware when it hits. But in the past, we've had many, many outlets to distract us from the feels. Whereas now,
the programming.
it's a lot, yeah.
the world that we've been brought into is programmed, isn't it? We're programmed to be, think, do a certain way, and our caregivers, whoever they were, didn't have the tools, you know. And a lot of us have got these childhood traumas and stuff, but so did our parents, and so did theirs. So it's these years of program. It's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
It's just we can only do the best that we can do, can't we?
Yeah.
And it is, and it's that you know, it's our basic need for connection. And everything has been so disconnected. And so, you know, we're disconnected from ourselves, we're disconnected from highest self, we're disconnected from our hearts,
Yeah.
and we're disconnected from each other. It's like you say, it's the there's been, you know, there's other things. Oh, I feel lost, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, so let's go and find, this is where the addictions come in. And you shared that beautiful video the other day of, you know, it's filling the gap.
Yeah.
It's trying to fill the gap. It's trying to cope, trying to, you know, please people, be seen. My own experience has been one of codependent behaviours that results, you know, from my relationship with my mom, and abandonment, and, you know, all those sort of the childhood wounds. But the pattern was born from just needing to be seen, and by somebody who was already portraying those patterns because she didn't know any better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, she was a wonderful woman and so much love to give, but she was unable to process, was never given the opportunity that we've got now to be able to process the things that she went through, her own childhood traumas, her own things. I remember going to the doctors with her and her being told it's all in your head. Okay, that might be the case. How do we help that? Are you going to help her with that? No, we'll just send her away. It's all in your head.
You know, it was so common.
Yeah.
It was so common. It's
and
scary, actually.
It's not in your head. It's in your heart.
Yes, 100%. I mean, there's so much I'd love to talk to in what you've just said. For so long, people have been told, you know, how they feel doesn't matter. Just get on with it. I know it's definitely prevalent here in Ireland. Just get on with it. You just get on with it. You get up and get on with it. It's scary. And what you spoke to a couple of minutes ago, it's generational. We're the victims of victims of victims. And while it's the easiest thing to be consumed with what you've experienced and lived through and blame the generation before or the generation before, we are definitely in a time of personal accountability and responsibility, which is, you know, another conversation in itself. You spoke about the video I shared the other day of Dr. Gabor Mate speaking about childhood trauma and addiction.
Yeah.
And what I loved about that video, and I'm going to bounce this back to what you just spoke about again. What I loved about that video is he speaks from the beginning of our can't even speak now, as kids, how connection and is so important, authenticity and attachment. And he speaks about how we trade our authenticity for attachment. So we have our basic human needs, and we crave connection. It's, I know, 1,000,000%. It's what I came here for. And as the small child, we trade our need for to be attached, to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, to be held. All of these basic human, you know, things.
Yeah.
We trade our authenticity, which is speaking about how you feel, speaking to the truth of what's going on, even as a kid, how we were met with conditional love as opposed to unconditional. And this isn't me pointing fingers at the generation before, my own family, anybody like that. The point of the matter is, the programs you spoke to about a couple of minutes ago are the root cause of these things. Our parents, their parents, did their best with us from the best of their capacity on any given moment. I know I'm giving 100% in my world to my family. It might not be somebody else's 100, but every moment I'm giving it my all. And I think as the children of people who were unaware themselves, it breaks my heart, because I don't think anybody knew when they shut their mouths, when they closed their hearts, when they stopped listening, when they stopped trying to nurture that connection that is so basically longed for by everyone.
Mm.
I don't think we realized what we were doing, and then we spend our entire lives trying to peel back these layers, like an onion, trying to peel back these layers to get back to who the hell am I?
Mm.
Who am I?
Yeah.
And I think that, there's a certain amount of things that we've experienced that where we go, enough. I have enough of this shit. I don't blame you, but this ends now.
Mm.
And I think it's not an easy path to get to, because like you said, in order to get there, we have to feel.
Mm.
So why would you want to feel all that shit?
A friend of mine said that the other day, she messaged me, she said, I'm just bored of the shit now.
Yeah.
And there wasn't, I was like, yeah, I feel you. It can feel like that, can't it? That
Yeah.
you're just bored of it. But the thing about, just to talk to what you were saying about it, who are we at our core, that connection is, it's love.
Mm.
We just want to love and be loved.
Yes, 100%.
Moulin Rouge. The greatest gift you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Yeah.
That's just sort of come to my mind, and it is, but those layers are, like whether it's the onion, we're not necessarily born with the layers.
No.
We pick up the layers, which is why I like the backpack analogy, because those thoughts and programs are all rocks in our backpack until it becomes so heavy that we just can't move.
Yeah.
But that's not who we are.
Yeah.
We're not everything that's in the backpack. We're just carrying it because we've been told we've got to.
Learned, yeah.
But that thing, if we can stop and let ourselves feel in that moment, and be in the depths of despair, or be in that, even in the trauma of it, the feelings of the trauma, because might not necessarily be in the, it's like you said, some things come back from the past, and it's not necessarily the same experience, but it's bringing up feelings that feel exactly the same. But if you can let yourself be in that moment and say, this isn't me, this isn't who I am, take the backpack off, and the immediate relief by just going, this is not who I am.
Yeah.
Let myself feel it.
Yeah.
And because quite often the thoughts, like you said a bit ago about the resistance, why don't we let ourselves feel? The thought of letting ourselves feel is worse than actually letting ourselves feel. And it's resistant, and it's because of that thing, like you said, of having to pick up and get on. Oh, we're not supposed to, so put it away, another rock in the backpack, another, oh, I'll deal with it another time. I should be this and I should be that. I should be able to get on with it. People do this all the time. People are much worse than me. People go through things worse than me. They're worse off. And I suppose it's really good to come back to that place of gratitude for everything that we have got. But at the same time, when you're in that space, even that's really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you end up feeling the feelings sort of override all of that. And it's, you know, you get the bitterness and the resentment and feeling like the victim of everything that's being done, rather than going, this is not who I am.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Yeah. Well, they're the programs you just spoke to a couple of minutes ago, without us even realizing, they are the programs that run.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you spoke a couple of minutes ago about your mum going to the doctors to be told everything that was swirling around in that lady's head, everything that she was feeling, everything that she was experiencing was in her head. And as children, we learn what we live. So you're, even in that one still moment, you're learning, hang on a minute, I think like this, I have all of these experiences and emotions going on, it must be only in my head. And so you learn to be quiet about it. It's learned. Children learn what they live without us even realizing. And then we grow up thinking that this is normal, and it's earmuffs. It's not normal. I was going to drop an F-bomb.
Do
But
it.
it's not normal. I'm a reformed character, but it's not normal. It's not normal, and it's not okay. And because of being told by a generation that is gone, I'm talking about the people who this beautiful woman will have gone to in a moment of vulnerability, looking for help. A generation, a world who told her, this is all in your head. Get on with it. What the there's this a quote I saw on Facebook and I loved it. Shit, I can't think of it for the life of me. It was something like, it was about peer pressure from dead people, like people who are gone, you know, advice, you know, that's not relevant anymore. And I think now more than ever, in this enclosed space, in everybody's worlds, you said about the truth of the matter is always being brought back to the self, no matter what the situation is. That it's in moments like that where we get to evaluate, what programs are running in here? What do I believe? Is it okay for me to shut my mouth when I feel like my whole entire world is crashing down around me? Is it appropriate for me to just get on with it when I can barely put my socks on? You know, is it okay for me to show up and have an awkward conversation on social media without the possibility of being ridiculed, taken the piss out of, judged? And the detriment that all of this has, because the thing is, this is just my perspective, the thing is, each and every person has this internal war going on with themselves, with all of the very same things as the next person. Hence, you acknowledge the mirrors at the beginning of the conversation. That's where we're judging. I'm not judging you, I'm judging me. I'm not disrespecting you, I'm disrespecting me. And the thing is, nobody gets it because the programs are so ingrained, they're so deep-seated, so goddamn active within us that we don't even realize. And you have seen firsthand the results of the detriment of disregarding each and every one of those things in your own life with your mum, and how important it is to speak to that now. It's time. Like, it's time. It really is, for everybody.
Yeah. And not from the victim point, but from the adult viewing the child.
Yes.
And holding the child and holding space for the child. Because I've not thought of that actually when you said about, you know, even for me, that memory for me is so clear of going with my mum. Now, that wasn't something that was directly done to me, but in that moment, her not being validated when she was reaching out for help, that she was saying she felt something within her, whether it was in her mind, whether it was physical, I don't know, I can't remember that. But I just remember her saying, oh yeah, it's all in my head. And there were several visits. And, you know, she ended up being put on medications and things like that eventually. But then there was a deterioration in her mental and emotional health. But for me, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that was, you know, okay, it's not safe to reach out for help. It's not safe to say, I'm feeling this, because anything that I'm feeling is all in my head.
Yeah.
And I just got to put up with it and get on. And so those sort of patterns of codependency and all of that was just trying to make other people happy, trying to do what sort of comes naturally to me. I'm a doer, I'm a fixer, I'm a, you know, like as we would say now, a way shower. But the way in which I showed up as that from times like that as a child was layers of protection. Because if I can make you happy, if I can, that makes me feel happy. That makes me feel validated. That makes me feel important because you are happy. And in particular, my mum. That's where it stemmed from. Because, okay, the doctor said it's all in your head, so I've got to make sure that you're okay. I've got to be the best possible daughter, person in the world to make you feel better, to help you feel better, because I know that you're not. Yeah. And, you know, as an empath, even as a child, you know, you feel it. You feel that energy from your parents, you know, and her trauma and her pains. And, you know, she didn't have, you know, energy healing or you know, any of these modalities that are available to us now. And so, you know, the deterioration in her emotional and mental health was then, you know, projected almost layers. I took all that on.
Yeah, absorbed. Yeah.
And she didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah.
She was told to go away and get on with it.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's no, like, this is what we're talking even about the programming. We're the result of the love of thousands, but we're also the programming of them.
Yeah.
And while your mum was the person experiencing the mental health issues, you absorb them. They filter into and through you.
Yeah.
Then you learn coping mechanisms in order to basically survive, to exist, because your needs as the kid aren't being met. Again, through absolutely zero fault of your mum, who was trying to learn how to cope with her own, no doubt, childhood stuff, her adult stuff, whatever life may have thrown, you know, her direction. And that's so many people. And you talked there about the carer, you know, the person who wanted to fix the others, to help the others, to heal the others. When what it is, it's a call out for yourself to reforge that connection within you.
Yeah.
And we can't even see it. Sometimes we're so close to it.
Yeah.
Is there...
Speaking of which, I've lost you.
Oh, okay.
My picture's just gone completely off.
I love this. Even in recordings, when you try to dodge technical glitches by recording conversations to, you know, make sure that we get all this. Right. We're just going to pause this for a second and we're going to resume because we can. Unpause and kick straight back into it because we can. This is equally the joys of technology. We were just talking about...
we were in a lovely flow, and then technology decided
you know what?
that we were flowing too well.
This is what happens, though. Energy kind of like kicks in and derails the train, but no, it doesn't, because all there is now. So it's perfect.
Quite ironic that we were talking about being able to express and feel and share that, and we're cut off from doing it in the middle of what we were saying.
I was just saying about the roles that both yourself and myself actually have taken on in wanting to fix other people. I'm the recovering people pleaser. I said that to you last week. I've said it many times I've been speaking. because I was constantly looking outside of myself trying to fix me and didn't even realize it at the time.
Yeah.
And what I was just saying was, you know, the experiences that your mum would have gone through, the way you absorbed them, the wanting then to try and fix other people without realizing it was you that was in need of the reconnection. So many people experience that, and they're in it. They're in it right now.
Yeah.
They're in it with in the roles that they play in their families. The overgiver in the family, the overgiver in the relationship, the overgiver in the workplace. Not even realizing that it's codependency in motion and how to remedy it. They just know that something feels off, and then they don't trust it.
Yeah. And codependency, when I was learning about this, I actually started learning about it because, well, there was a couple of sort of paths that have ended up veering me on sort of the healing journey, if you like. But the reason, so my mum passed away, and we can talk to that at some point if you like.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah. But actually, the codependency thing didn't come up until I was looking up how to support my husband, who's a compulsive gambler.
Okay.
And he, but I was still looking up how it'd come to that crux point of this is not right. You know, this is affecting everything and everyone in our lives, in our home. And but I looked up, and it's sort of it's not funny, but it almost is. It's the irony in it that is. I went looking online how to support him through this, and the advice that came back, or the you know, with the research that I went through, is the best way that you can do it. And I learned this when parenting my children, is separate the behavior from the person, because this is not who they are. So when we tell our kids, like the doctor said to my mum, it's all in your head. And when we say to our kids, that's naughty, you're naughty, you're this, you're that, that becomes the program and the layers. And the same thing of, sorry, I've lost my flow a little bit then, because there was several things going on.
The joys of being between two worlds.
Bloody hell, yeah.
This is what it looks like.
It is, yeah. The with the children separating the behaviour from the child, no, that's naughty behaviour, or that's show them the right way. And the thing with separating the addiction from the person, then brought it back to this. So what do I do? The best thing that you can do is do you.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay, you need to take care of you. You need to work. And then, you know, this whole trail then of learning about codependency and what that was, and realizing that the programming and where I picked up the, you know, my responsibility in the relationship of the dynamic of why I had met with this person, like you were saying earlier about the client. You know, my client is me. My partner, my husband in this case, was reflecting me and mirroring me, and you know, and everything that I needed to recognize. But the reason why I found that, or realized that, and that was sort of the real start of my healing journey with regards to learning modalities and therapies and techniques to help myself. It's like you said, I was trying to then just making everybody happy outside of me. You know, that was my go-to, that was my pattern, that's what I did. Didn't realize that it was even a thing. Until I went looking for something of how to support him.
Because it was so normal for you growing up. To try and if if the medical practitioners told your mum that it was in her head, then well, somebody had to acknowledge her because
Yeah,
somebody had to care, somebody had to hold it. I get
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's learned. It's learned
yeah,
in childhood.
yeah.
It's lived as you grow up,
Mm,
and it's experienced when we draw specific relationships into our world to live out.
mm,
It's a bitter pill to swallow then when we're faced with ourselves in another
mm,
and we can't seem to get the balance. You put up a post yesterday, I think it was, or the day before on YouTube about triggers for the unhealed parts of our being. And there's nothing like being triggered by the people closest to us
mm.
to hold the
Yeah,
most impeccable mirror of us up.
yeah,
It's a nice kick up the arse, really.
yeah,
But for me personally, I don't know about you, it shows me where I need to go, where I need to go. Because I know I'm not going to change anyone, nor have I any interest at this stage in my life, let me tell you, in
no,
changing anybody or
no.
getting anybody to see through my
It's
eyes or,
exhausting.
oh my
It's
God.
exhausting. You don't realize how much you give of
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
in trying to do that. And the other thing as well, which I know that you work a lot with people with regards to owning your shit. There was a conversation that I had not so long ago of you know, the realization of, oh, you're still trying to fix. And I was like, oh God, yeah. And started beating up on myself, like you said earlier. Your thoughts creep in of, you should know better, you've done all of this work and you've healed all this, and you've, the cycle and the patterns. And then it was like, no, own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I went back there for a minute, but I'm not staying in it. It's not who I am, but I'll own it, because yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the awareness, once you bring the awareness to it and own it, allow yourself to feel it, of whatever it is, and stop that pattern of, the destructive thought patterns of, oh yeah, well, it's because of this and it's because of that, and because you're no good and you're not worthy, and all of these, the pattern that we've become attached to
Yeah.
in our mind, the protection. Own it.
Which loops perfectly and beautifully back into what we spoke to at the very beginning of this conversation, which is, I do not know who I am from one day to the next. And that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. Because what happens, and you described it perfectly, when you're in that, when you're back in a situation with a person experiencing the old, it's the choice point, using your discernment, because you've witnessed the past, you've
Yeah.
learned and lived it. You have a choice whether to keep repeating it or repair it by accessing the wisdom of what you've learned and applying it in that moment. Do I want to stay in this situation, stay in this conversation, stay in this room, stay in this building, stay in this world, whatever it might look like? Or do I want to turn back in? And I think now more than ever, that's it's a great description of being between two worlds. It's choice point over and over and over again. And in the choice point, this is where I love it. It's like so multi-layered. It's within the choice point, having lived one world and knowing that that's not what you want, and having understood that you can access a whole other one if you choose, but taking the responsibility and accountability for where you're giving your energy to, what you're giving your thought processes to, because we're doing the work over and over, and we are everybody is. Nobody wants to stay feeling like shit.
No.
Nobody wants to be living on the hamster wheel, repeating the same shit day in, day out. They want change. People want better. Nobody wants suffering.
But there's a fear in that too, because I found, especially recently, with that resistance, when they meet themselves with resistance, because there is almost an attachment to the old, and they're comfortable in their discomfort.
Yeah, it's all they've known.
But yeah, and it's scary to go outside the box. It's like I said earlier, the thought of allowing yourself to feel, because I remember feeling like that when mum died. It was like pick up and get on and do and go and be and fix, and making it all right for my kids and making it all right for my brother and making it all right for everybody else. Didn't allow myself even the grieving process. And it's the oh gosh, I've forgotten what I was going to come back to say now. What did you say?
I love that shit. I was just, you were talking about the resistance of people and their fear of feeling the old because it's so charged. Yeah,
because it's all that I knew.
All you knew.
And I knew that my life was a shit show, and that I was like, I used to say that, oh my God, it's like being in my own soap opera sometimes. I was like really aware of the fact that it just seems so dramatic all of the time. And again, you know, it even about talking about the people that in my personal experience that I've spoken about, you know, that my mom, that's not who she is. That's not who she was. My husband, I said he's a compulsive gambler. That's not who he is. He's been a perfect mirror to me. I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs barking outside though.
It's okay.
It's all going on.
Real life. What harm?
In the real world.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
But that's not who they are. That me in those experiencing that trauma and being uncomfortable in the discomfort, because that's all I know, because stepping outside of the box, who am I outside of that? Who am I without all of the drama? You know, because then I've only got me. And that's the scariest, facing yourself, looking at your shadow, looking at those deep dark parts of you that somebody else might be reflecting, like you said about drawing those relationships to us. You know, looking at that is the scariest and most challenging thing to do.
Because I mean, there again, you're faced back with your own fear of abandonment if you choose to speak your truth. You know, if I show up and drop a few truth bombs, who am I going to lose here? But
because it's not safe.
But what do you know, at the same time, we never look at the gain. You know?
No.
It's like a double-edged sword sometimes.
And that's why I think point. That you said last week, we are the choice. We are the choice. We are it's all about us. It's all about me. It's all about you. In our experience.
That's why I think you know, to talk about what you said at the very beginning of the conversation was so important, which was to deal with the programming. That's if anybody wants to know where do you start, that's where you begin. You start where you are. With what is consuming you now.
And that's what I learned with EFT actually. That was a really good tool for me, because it allowed me in the moment to acknowledge how I was feeling, acknowledge the programming, and express it and validate it for myself. And this is why I love teaching it to people, because it's all very well when we say, oh, it's all about go within and this, that, and the other. Sometimes you don't even know what that looks like or how to do that, because we've not been taught. So I love doing the tapping and teaching people how to do it, because, and especially just for anybody really. I was going to say especially for kids, because you know, the world that we're moving into, you know, we need to teach them the new ways. This is what I've always tried to do, is when I've learned something new, or I've learned something different, or I've realized a programming, then I will pass it on. You know, I will, you know, I say to my kids, you know, I realize I've cocked up. I've not done things that, you know, not that as well as I could have, but I know a better way now. And I've learned this, and I want to teach you and show you, and I do that with other people. But what the EFT helped me personally with is identify what I was feeling,
Yeah.
and
Naming it.
validate myself, acknowledge it, and vocally speak it out. It's not just all love and light and no, I'm fucking angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really hurts, and you can speak it out whilst working through the tapping points of it feels like this, it feels like that, and you're in your own moment. And obviously I guide people through that process intuitively when I'm working with someone, but I teach people so that they can do it for themselves.
Yeah. Empowering
and so that they can use it in any moment. And all it does is bring you back to your physical body and your emotions and your heart and what you're feeling in that moment. And it's really powerful, just that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I found it really helpful. And also in teaching that method to others is, one, like we say, the client is me.
Yeah.
So quite often, whether my client in that moment is my family or a friend or whatever, the person in front of me is me, and we do it together. So it's a healing that happens mirrored back at each other. Yeah. Because there's obviously that trigger, or even that meeting that person in that space of their trauma, their pain, what they're experiencing is something unresolved within me.
Yeah.
So I meet them there.
Yeah.
And I meet myself there, and that allows them to meet themselves there. And then that ripple is where the healing happens.
Yeah, it's a beautiful display of compassion.
Yeah.
For another and for the self. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I just ask if anybody is interested in reaching out to you for any of these different healing modalities, where can they find you?
They can find me now on my website, which it'll be published in the next couple of days.
Brilliant.
So that's just kazkelly.com.
Brilliant. And you're back on Facebook?
I am, but this is my second account. So my first one got
she got the boot.
Yeah, they did me. They did me over good time. But to be honest with you, even that was, we spoke about this last week, didn't we? That was a whole unraveling in itself, because it was that thing of, felt loss. The grief of the loss of, that's the way that I was connecting with people. I had my business on there. I had, 13 years worth of photographs and connections, and
since you told me about this, I was going to say, since you shared this with me last week, I went and I made sure I collected all my pictures, because I love photos more than anything. I love photos. So we can maybe have another conversation and share what happened there. I'd love to.
But I'm Kaz Kelly everywhere.
Okay, cool.
At the moment, so
we can pop
back on Facebook.
We'll pop some comments in the links below. But listen, I just want to say thank you for a beautiful conversation.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. It was great to connect, and even if we had our technical glitches, they're all perfect.
And dogs.
And dogs, and it's epic. I'm surprised my kids haven't jumped on in to ask me for food or something. But thank you, and to anybody watching us as it streams and on the replay, we really appreciate it too. Until next time, talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye bye.